Kemi Badenoch, Some Thoughts and a Prayer. I was quite ecstatic about Kemi Badenoch's miraculous slaying of the Goliath of the British establishment, and emerging as the head of the Conservative Party and is now leader of the opposition. I felt disappointed by the rather lukewarm reception of this great news, especially in Nigeria and Africa. I drafted this opinion piece and I decided to seek the opinion of my good friend, Dipo Salimomo, who has lived in England and understands the issue. I felt his criticism would be useful. Nothing prepared me for the response I got from him. After reading the draft, he called to say he did not have much to add, but could I take a look at a short video he had just sent to my WhatsApp page. I opened and played the video and could not believe my eyes. There, right before me, was a young lady, Kemi Adegoke, with whom I had shared a TEDx Houston platform in 2017. Patutomi had been at the same event too. I had been struck by her eloquence and clarity of thought, but that was it. At that event, at only 30 years old, she had spoken about her journey into politics barely 15 years after returning to the UK at the age of 16. She spoke of her experience with white British teachers who had discouraged her from contemplating going to Oxford because she would be boxing well above her weight. She said that when she informed the white female member of the Labour Party of her plan to join the Conservative Party, the lady had considered it a sign of ingratitude and a lack of appreciation of what the Labour Party had done for her, for people of her kind. In the end, she said, she had joined the Conservative Party because its ideology aligned with her personal beliefs. Barely 7 years later, Kemi now sits at the highest pedestal of a party she joined barely 10 years ago. This is a feat that is moment-defining and will remain a major marker in the future of British politics. Truth be told, at the beginning when I heard that one Kemi Badenoch, a British woman of Nigerian descent, had thrown her headgear into the ring to contest for the position of leader of the Conservative Party in July this year, I must confess that I sneered. What kind of gragra is this? I said. I imagine that millions of people of African descent living in the United Kingdom and beyond felt the same. I was convinced that perhaps she simply wanted her name on the list for history. I recalled the story of the tortoise who was to be carried away on exile. As he was lifted up he had pleaded to be put down for just a few minutes. I'm not quarreling with my exile, he said, but just put me down, please. When his captors reluctantly did, he scratched the ground with his paws and turned, saying, okay, I am ready for the exile, you can carry me. Asked why he had wasted their time, he replied, I want my descendants to know that their forefather did not go on exile without a fight. How Kemi pulled this great feat off definitely requires far more attention than we are prepared to concede to her. On personal reflection, I scratched my head, paused and reflected. Kemi was born a year after I arrived at the University of Bradford for a postgraduate degree. The landscape of British public life, from where I stood, was almost totally denuded of black presence in either academia, economics or politics. Bradford itself then was a sleepy environment with a very high Asian population running corner shops. There were hardly any black heroes or heroines, not to talk of British citizens of Nigerian descent. In lawn tennis, Mr. David Immonite had made a brief appearance in Wimbledon in 1979 and had begun to support Nottingham Forest Football Club because of Viv Anderson, and first black person I saw playing football at that level. Later, John Barnes followed with Liverpool later. Then came the greatest decathlete of all time, Daley Thompson, followed by the sprinter, Linford Christie, the heavyweight boxer, Frank Bruno, and Lennox Lewis, along with other sports and some extant music, Sade Ado, would remain the main theatre of action for many British citizens of colours. Kemi's selection by her peers has elicited comments and controversy, and rightly so. Some people have accused her of throwing her country, Nigeria, under the bus at the slightest opportunity. This is no doubt an exaggeration by her opponents, but let's face it, to be thrown under a stationary bus should not be a matter of concern at all. Should we not be worried about the corruption that has become a swamp out of which we have been unable to swim? Should we not be worried that in our own country we are still raising roadblocks against gifted men and women because of their faith or ethnicity? I am surprised that even some of our critics who have cases with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have found it convenient to condemn her for calling out Nigeria's cancer of corruption. I'm telling you, Nigeria's dirty laundry will not be cleaned by outsiders or by self-deceit. Tell them. From where she stands today as the former Secretary of State for International Trade, Kemi likely knows more about the state of our slaves than even we are prepared to admit. There are, of course, other critics who seem to be driven by envy. Having said this, Ms. Badenoch must also know that she should not stray too far from her natural constituency. As every politician soon learns, she has shown that her identity does not define her, but she cannot either ignore that she is black and the daughter of immigrants, not only because it was mark of self-hatred, but it would rob her of the authenticity and largeness of spirit required of all transformative leaders. Good diplomacy must ensure a smooth relationship between her and Nigeria. She needs Nigeria and Nigeria needs her very much. And it must be mentioned, the revolving doors is established hegemonies often run out of oil, become creaky and stop revolving for certain people after some time. How she handles this great opportunity and challenge will determine how others like her get a chance to enter the door. As she fights her way within the establishment, she must ensure that her doors are open to women and other immigrants who are seeking a life in politics. She would do well to adequately acquaint herself with the history of the black struggle in British public life, and especially in politics. Despite the ideologies differences which may exist, advancing the cause of those who consider themselves outsiders to the British society should be taken seriously. She has some experience from her time as a former Minister for Women and Equalities. Her criticism of existing populism must be constructive and helpful to all. She needs to be patient with those who have come from a long history of painful history of racism. It will not be wise to assume that the system has opened all our doors. This is the responsibility of leadership, to inspire and have empathy. She should not be tempted to ignore that the reinforced concrete that holds the structural injustice against those who feel left behind is still deep-seated in British society. She should resist the temptation to think that there are opportunities everywhere. It is just that the poor do not see them. It's more than that. So, Kemi, accept our congratulations and prayers as you make history. Please, work hard, but conserve your energy. Wear the shoes of a long-distance runner and be mindful of presumed allies. Remember that some nights you do not know when the long nights may come out. All you need to do is just look at the shelf life of other women who have come after you. The work of a woman is never ended. Look back at the fate of your predecessors who are still around you. Stay in touch. Compare notes or head ties with big aunties like Ngozi Iweala, Amina Mohammed, and others. You never know. Never forget. Whatever you may believe today, God brought you where you are, and for a purpose. The race ahead is not for the swift or for the faint of heart. Please remember with God on your side. You will run, but you will not get weary. The Lord will renew your strength. Isaiah 40:31. Well done, and Godspeed. We await the coronation. By Archbishop Coker. My listener, over to you. Leave your thoughts in your comment section. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.